and are usually very painfully honest about their wounds. Like, I tend to draw to people who carry a lot and will tell you they're carrying a lot and will tell you, I'm trying to survive and be better. Yeah. Once you show me that kind of vulnerability and honesty, I can trust you.
Welcome back to the Anthony Thomas Podcast. In this episode, we invite into our lives one of the most productive, accomplished people that I know, which is interesting because her perspective on productivity is quite contrarian to what you might think from such a high achiever. We get into productivity, different forms of giving, sacrificing your physical and mental health in the pursuit of your goals, hard days, small victories, keys to healthy friendships, passionate people pursuing crazy objectives, all that and more. So welcome into your world today, Talia Caldwell. Welcome to the podcast. This is long overdue, but we're finally here. I'm hyped for this. Tell the people who you are.
Yes, divine timing. This is the perfect timing. This is where I was supposed to be. I'm Talia Caldwell. I am born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Like, born in LA proper, not the Inland Empire, not the Valley. I was born in LA, Culver City to be exact. I'm very proud about that. I'm very proud of being a Black Angelino and what that means. I am currently a screenwriter, just, scrapping my way and learning and looking to get staffed on a show very soon. That is my goal. By summer, be staffed on a show. I am at USC School of Cinematic Arts, Peter Stark producing program. It's weird being like, go Trojans, because as we all know, I'm a fellow Bear, like the great Anthony Thomas. And I also used to play basketball for many, many years and even got paid to do it and go around the world twice over. So that's who I am. I am a person who loves people. I'm an only child, and I am very invested in my Black community. That's me.
I love it. That's beautiful. I think you did a much better intro of yourself than I could have, which is a beautiful thing because not everybody could do that. A lot of people are like, ooh, like I'm a little shy. Am I this? Am I that? Owning that identity that you're creating. That's super dope. But I would like to add women's Final Four?
Yes. 2013, helped get our team to the Final Four and a Pac-12 Championship.
Yes, indeed. So, also, there's some historical mark that you laid at Berkeley, at the Haas Business School specifically.
Yes. I was, for some reason, I was the first women's basketball player to be admitted into the Haas School of Business, the very prestigious business school, which I thought would have me, not the hype button.
I'm gonna wait for you to finish. Go ahead.
I don't even know where I was on the hype button and got too hype. So great. Hot 9-7 flex. I always wanted to study business there since I was in high school and thought I would go on to be working at a company like Nike, which I interned at. And, I thought I'd be doing the business thing and selling you guys dreams and products with a smile on my face. And then life said, we're going to sell stories instead, which is the same thing, essentially.
Yeah, sell the stories. Same hustle, different product. That's all. And then I also want to throw in a New York Times contributor.
Yes. Why the WNBA loved Kobe. Wrote that the day he tragically died, him and along with the other 9 victims, including his daughter. So yes, that was probably one of the highlights of my baby writing career.
Little baby writing career.
Little toddler, just trying to crawl and walk and not bump into things too much.
It's growing though. It's growing for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm a beast right now.
I know. I know. I'm hyped. I'm hyped to see these credits. But anyway, we'll get into all that. The reason I wanted to cover some more of your accolades is because you are one of the most productive people that I know. And
thank you.
What's interesting about this is that you don't, as long as I've known you, you don't tend to juggle a ton of different things, right? So there's a key distinction. I have been accused of having my hand in so many different things, right? Which totally guilty of. It's part of what I enjoy. I love to do this. You are highly productive, and there's a difference between being really busy and being really productive. I'm curious what your thoughts on the ongoing conversation and promotion around productivity and being highly productive. What are your thoughts on this? Because you're well accomplished so far.
Right.
And you've been productive, but I'm curious where you are now, because I know you're busy as hell right now too.
Right. My default in the way I've been socialized and educated, I've always grown up in rigorous academic environments my whole life. Started off in Montessori, went to an elite private school in LA, then obviously Berkeley, grad school, high level basketball. I fit into the typical type A work culture. That works for me. Like squeezing in, 80 hours a week and a 40-hour work week. That's fine for me. I could easily do that and you would not know I'm tired. And then also be a loving family member, a good friend, and, all the other things I do. That works for me. I know how to keep going. I have a high threshold for a lot of things. Pain, fatigue, that I don't know those words. If I want something and I'm highly focused, I will just do it. With that being said, at 30 years old, and just learning more and listening more and just growing my mind and seeing how the world works and how disposable the world treats people, productivity to me now like makes my skin crawl. The word. It makes my skin crawl, because when you go back in modern time, the Industrial Revolution, even like I said, you can go further back to like just, colonization and things, imperialism, but industrialization, the reason why the 40-hour work week of 9 to 5, of the family unit, Monday through Friday, that was all revolving around like conditions we couldn't like really change then, we couldn't really do things when it was not like, the crops only came at this time. We weren't shipping this and moving that. Like we were really like, we had to do it that way. You had kids, you got married for property reasons, and you had kids to work the land and to
labor.
It was labor.
Yeah.
And it was, and people who got all the profits, explained how if you did this the right way, you could be like them, when people who got the profits always had a leg up. Whether it was the railroad industry, whether it was oil, whether it was slavery, whether it was whatever trade. And they were smart enough to be like, if I'm able to tell people to exploit their bodies and time and kill themselves for me, give your job more time than you give your mother, give your time more time, give your job more time than you give your son or daughter. It's how they stay rich. We all know how money works. I cannot be wealthy if I'm spending the same amount that I'm getting, right? So seeing how productivity works and seeing how in the middle of so much last year of like just a literal, medical crisis in all types of ways, and not even just COVID, just all types of things. And you saw companies who were still like, but you need to die for this job and make $725. I was like, oh, this is a scam, because they're not telling you to live your life to the fullest in terms of go all out with whatever your dream is, whether you want to write a book, whether you want to invent a new whatever tool to whatever and you sell that. It was die for my products, die for my system. And then at 75, when you can't retire, you don't have health care, that was your fault. And that's how I see
look what you did. Look at you now, okay?
So now I'm way more invested in how we living holistically, whatever that looks like. So for me right now, I don't use the word productivity, but I am very focused and I'm very honoring to a craft that I am new at. So I don't have a lot of space right now for a lot of distractions, Right. And some days what's a healthy day for me is my body said, you need to rest. You need to be outside and get some vitamin D and touch the grass, because I can't write at my best. I can't work at my best if I'm miserable, if I'm tired, and if I'm not fed in my life in all ways. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's big. Whew, that's a lot. That's a lot for some people to really digest, right? Because, and I know this about you. I know you're a very empathetic individual, and you're well read as well as well experienced, and you listen and talk to so many people, including, even thinking about Echo Park Fund, right? You started a fund Did you start this you started this pre-pandemic, right?
I started in the middle of the pandemic. So literally
okay.
like May 30th, 2020.
Right. That's around somebody's birthday.
Yeah, that was 5 days after my birthday. Yep.
So that's something where, tell us a little bit about Echo Park Fund.
Yeah, briefly, it was just, honestly, it was a response to how drained I was feeling after the social unrest of George Floyd's murder, which was on my 29th birthday. And I needed to just get out and be involved with community. We were all quarantining. Yeah. And in my backyard was Echo Park, a beautiful neighborhood, historical Latinx neighborhood that's been gentrified and is still very amazing. But it was now a center for hundreds of tent communities and people who had only been there for 2 months since losing their jobs.
Right.
Had an apartment in February and by May were at this tent because it was safe. And a lot of them were still going to work or, and taking care of families. So I just felt like I have a community of people, including you and people and other friends who I know would give me $5 to go to the store and get a bag of ice for a houseless person or, some hygiene products. And I just kept it really informal like that. Basically a community center of hey, you guys want to chip in some money? I can get some people some things. Yeah. And that turned into a nationwide, even some global people chipping in and us all taking care of each other. And it expanded to services and resources of hey, this is how you fill out your taxes so you can get your stimulus. Hey, this is how you fill out your disability. Hey, here is if you're disabled, you can get free public transportation, things like that.
Right.
That's what I did for most of 2020.
Right. Which I love. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's just a testament of your spirit, your energy, your empathy for humans. Right. And so considering all that and hearing the way you're describing productivity and the elites, that are exploiting labor and things like this, there's also individuals who are in the middle of this that are they're literally looking forward to that paycheck, every paycheck. They're living paycheck to paycheck and they're in it. And it's I don't know how to get out of this at all. I'm working so much and the way that I get more money, it's a simple equation. How do I get more money? Oh, I just work more. Right. And so this idea of productivity and the hustle is there's a lot of people that are, they're proponents of, oh, you got to go all in on your dream.
Right.
And take loans out, credit cards, max out credit cards. You hear those stories all the time, which I'm not a fan of. I am of the school of thought that you do your best work when you don't have to worry about your basic needs, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Absolutely.
That's when you do your best work. So use your regular paycheck, make sure you're stable, and then just work bonus hours in your day on whatever your thing is, right? Whatever that is. And that's something that your capacity for work when you are attached to something like where you are right now. This isn't healthy, by the way. I just want to preface this. What have you averaged per night in sleep in the last, say, 2 months?
I mean, honestly, since March. And yes, and I'm happy you reframed that. Mind you, everything I said about the productivity is me understanding the conditions that we're in that we have to do to survive.
Right.
And I want to address that because I don't want to glorify that. I don't ever want to glorify a 2-family household in Kansas working every day and not being able to pay their bills. You should be able to have a job, not a Fortune 500 job, not this fancy, highly educated job, whatever job, and be able to pay your bills in this country. So that was mainly where it came from. But there are definitely times when, because we're in these systems, we have to survive. So, I've been up every day at 3 a.m. since March. And a couple of months ago, I added a full-time school schedule where I had, 5 classes Monday through Friday all throughout the day and an internship. So I'd wake up at 3, work until 4 to noon, intern to 12 to 6 and go to class from 6 to 10. And the next day would do another mosh posh of class, and then internship work and mix it around. And then I'd take that work home and I'm editing or I'm covering a script for my production company that I'm interning for. So, I'd probably average, I'm definitely not getting every night, 5, and I don't love that that's why And I was doing it with a set amount of time because I had a specific opportunity. You know, I had an opportunity where I could, if I worked my butt off, pay my tuition this semester.
Right.
I just happened to align the semester. And I said, Talia, could you sacrifice, you know, social time, friends, you know, a little bit of rest, even the things that you love, like going to the gym, can you sacrifice that for like, you know, 4 months if it means this? And because it was funding my dream, it wasn't funding someone else's dream. This is directly correlated to what I want as a writer.
Yeah.
I was working on set. I was covering script. It was everything a part of my dream. I said, yeah. After doing that and realizing the mental toll it took on me, I would not do that again. It was a great experience. I am so thankful. And it showed me how much I can do even more. And I needed it.
Yep.
And I'm now using wisdom and taking stock in my body and my mind and saying, okay, that was a season and that will not happen again.
But that is a pretty incredible experience, right? And so it's way more helpful. This is what I kind of talk to people when they're having a really challenging time with work. And maybe it's a job or something that they actually do typically like, or they're typically okay with. Right. And they're on the verge of like, man, I'm about to quit this. I'm like, okay. Maybe you need something to look forward to that is a specific, concrete date, right? Yeah. So plan a vacation that is a month and a half from now, so that way you're like, okay, 6 weeks, the countdown is on. Because we as humans, psychologically, we can perform at a much higher level when we know how to pace, how much gas to give it, right?
Certain benchmarks. I'm a visual person, so it's like definitely. And mind you, a lot of this is also the framing of, you know, my sports background, some of it being helpful and I'm so thankful, some of it being toxic. Because we all know sports is also where it's a system of, you know, literally die for a group of people. you know, like if this means you can't walk at 60, it's worth it. Yeah. You know,
it's like, give it up. Give it up.
Yeah. Okay. You have to have 10 surgeries. You have 10 surgeries. Yeah. So like even the way I pace my brain, you know, basketball is quarters and the season of a year is a quarter too. I break down things literally into quarters, you know, and there's quarters of my life where I'm social and making my rounds around town and spending time with friends. And there's some where I'm, you know, solitude and you can't find me, you know, my phone is on do not disturb. I think the biggest thing I've learned in so much the past few years is just really listening to your body. Whatever that means. Like I said, we don't have to use terms so much. Like I don't even care about what you want to call things. Yeah. But if your body's saying, yo, this is total investment, you know, I am just going to try the most challenging thing I can do. For me, the most challenging thing I can do right now is maximize my time from 3 a.m. to about midnight. Yeah. That was that term. The next term is next month. And it's all sacrifice, all but sacrifice. So right now I sacrifice family time. So thankfully I saw my 90-year-old grandma for her birthday in September. So I'm not going back to Michigan where my family's from for Christmas. You know, I told my mom, you'll be in there, but I will take this entire month. If someone invited me to Big Bear, someone invited me to go to the snow, I would say no, because this month I have to sacrifice so that I can pour back into myself. So this month is totally about sleeping, drinking water, cooking meals, because I was not eating healthy the past few months, which didn't feel good to me. Working out hard in a way that makes my body just feel not even about weight or conditioning, just feeling how I want to feel, you know, and movement, and writing, because I have a goal and I'm already in a group or a writing group of like working writers to be accountable for. And we all are, you know, working on an idea that we're going to be done with within like a month. So that's the season I'm in. And that's a sacrifice of a different like thing. Right.
And I'm curious, who do you admire in their perspective around productivity right now?
Like I said, I'm so divorced of the word. I just had to. It's such a Eurocentric, colonized word that has harmed a lot of countries and harmed a lot of people. Right. People of every color, of whether it's, you know, poor Irish people who suffer famine because of it, you know,
because of hyper productivity and
really it's for humans to maximize things, you know, that most of us don't even use or don't need. But I think the better question is like, who do I think like really utilizes their time well, you know? That's a good question. It's probably someone I know personally, like people, like I think it's people in my life who have healthy boundaries. Like I have a hard time saying no to a lot of things because I am someone who loves people. And I know if I feel a hint of like this person really would appreciate if I do this, I'm like, I will try to make it happen.
Right.
And I love people who have a healthy, like people I'm really admiring now have a healthy boundary of, you're one of the people like you and my cousin, there'll be a healthy boundary of like, they're just not on their phones often, whether it's not browsing the internet, not on, my cousin, she does work around Firecracker Foundation, which your mom had donated to, around.
I got a sweatshirt here. Shout out to Firecracker Foundation.
Amazing. They do Firecracker Foundation in Central Michigan does work around young victims healing from sexual trauma and helping their families. And so my cousin who works for that organization, she leaves like beautiful email response or she's basically telling someone, hey, I'm not from my phone for the next 2 months because I need to pour back into me and my son and my husband, or I'm in nature right now. You know, I love, or people who are like, hey, Talia, I'm not going to have this conversation with you right now because it's not really like productive for my mind, it's not healthy for my brain right now. Right. Those people I really admire who like know how to say explicitly what they won't do. And they're doing it in like not a rude way, but they're first having compassion and love for themselves, Because I'm always scared, like I'm going to hurt someone's feelings. It's like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I know what it's like. I'm acutely aware of rejection. I'm acutely of feeling like, does no one care? Yeah. Am I loved? Am I seen? I want everyone to feel seen, especially because all of us come from such different traumatic things. Some people don't have the families that you and I have or the friends. So like you might be their one life source. So sometimes I will push. So, but I really respect people who know how to stick to boundaries, exercise them, and watch the fruits of that actually pay off and let it inform ways that they can be better. Like my cousin will come back being like, yeah, from my sabbatical on my phone, I really discovered X, Y, and Z about myself.
I love that. I appreciate that. And thank you. I feel honored in that way. I'm just at the tail end. I took like a good month and a half off social media entirely. And a large part of that was just family driven, right? I have a new son and it's like, this is a golden time. There's so many things I want to do. And there's work, especially this one big project that I kind of talked to you about that I'm really looking forward to launching. But I realized in this time, I need to actually pump the brakes on that because I can do that. I can do that forever. But this is the only time I will ever have off of work where it's just us and the family and everything like this. And that's where I said, you know what, this is a perfect time to just take all this time off and really focus in. And that was something that I have found a ton of value from. And I haven't always been that way because you know me, I'm the same way. I'm very much a people pleaser.
We're very similar, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the quality won't be there. So like, I guess that's also my issue with like pushing through and go hard. And like, I don't like self-help type books and motivational people. Cause number one, people who do those books are always people who don't look like you and I, where that grind, like, and I mean that in terms of, like Wolf of Wall Street, those kind of stories make me sick because there's no person of color who could do that and would not be in prison still. So you going on this award tour of you're poor because you're lazy.
Yeah.
Is insulting and dismissive of the systems that keep anyone different down, even if you work your butt off.
Right.
Because not every poor person, white, black, yellow, orange, are poor because they're lazy. That's not how the system works.
Exactly. It's not, there's a lot of variables that so many people don't attribute anything remotely close to luck. They don't attribute anything to it. It's all about hard work. It's
our political system, your local government. If you are born into a city in Mississippi that does not have a good school curriculum, you're not going to get into a good university.
Right.
How is that your fault?
Right.
That we don't
zip codes.
How does that our fault? So there's that stuff, but the quantity and quality thing, kind of like the productivity. And I think of like just input, output, and widgets and make stuff. Yeah. Anyone who loves America will tell you we don't make anything of quality anymore. So even the idea of productivity is silly to me because, hey, Anthony, this morning, I got a lot done. What'd you do? I made 89 pancakes. That's impressive. Did I do a lot? Did I do a lot in a short time?
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Did it have any worth or value?
Not, I mean, to yourself.
Was there time better well spent,
Right.
And or now I'm bitter because of it and I never want to eat a pancake again. It's like, what did that do? Who did that benefit? So So like, even if you push through, like, I didn't get this work done.
Yeah.
If you read it the next day, like as a writer, for example, if I read the next day, I'm like, this is awful.
Yeah.
I should have went to sleep. Like I learned early in college, I used to like rarely study late at night. Like if it's 11 p.m., I would just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because the time you spend from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. fake studying, twirling in your chair, texting a friend, but you're in the library, so you feel like I'm doing something right.
Yep.
If I would have went to bed by 11:30 and woke up at 5 and worked from 5 to 9, in those 4 hours, I was focused. I had no distractions.
Yeah.
So I always chose, when am I going to get the most? When am I going to get this done for myself? When is this going to feel good?
Right.
And that was my friend yesterday. She's a writer. She writes on TNT's Animal Kingdom, and she just finished the show HBO's Secret Sex Life of College Girls, Vanessa Baden-Kelly. Amazing writer. She teaches at LMU. And yesterday she wanted to, like, that morning she wanted to write, get some really good personal writing done.
Yeah.
And she was so drained because she has a beautiful young son, has been, helping family and teaching. The best thing for her to do as a creative, to even tap into better thoughts, was to rest. And now today, she's ready to go.
I love it.
She wanted it.
I love that. So this is actually something I'm curious about. With your extensive experience through competing at the highest levels and through so much focused work that you've done over all the years and the experiences you've had, the wisdom gain, how do you decompress? How do you, when you are, I mean, I know like this month, for example, you're shifting, right? You're shifting where the focus goes and all that stuff. But
I'm shedding a lot of stuff too.
Right. So what is it, from like finding solitude, or what is it that you're doing, and what have you found to be the most impactful if you have just a tiny bit of time, or if you have a month? Let's say.
Well, I'm not great at that. I naturally am on edge, right? Like I'm naturally an anxious person. That's like also just like mental health stuff, like probably need to address it. Haven't had time to do. It's like, I know I live, but make the things that, mind you, everything that I'm talking about that I want to do is like aspirational that I'm working on. Things you work with, either with a therapist, a life coach, a partner, whatever.
Right.
It's aspirational, but like a lot of things in life for all of us, no matter what your occupation is, whether you're a farmer or a doctor, the things that make you great are normally like the things that also harm you, Yeah. So the things that make me great are also harm me. So for a lot, like I said, my high threshold for a lot of things. So I normally don't need something in the day where I'm like, whoo, deep breath. I can just go, but that's not healthy and I'm not present. Yeah. So the best way that I have been able to decompress is when I get to the gym consistently. And at the past 2 months, I was not able to. And that was, I was feeling that in my body. I was carrying a lot on my shoulders that I couldn't literally sweat out, push out, squat out, grunt out,
right.
Dance out, whatever, because I dance when I stretch sometimes while I'm boxing, and, so, I wish I had a better one. I was better at meditating in 2020. Slipped up when I got back to working a lot on set this year. I'm historically not a great meditator or yoga, but for me, it's working out. And I realized because in order for me to feel vulnerable and really like naked and free, I have to be exhausted, and not a lot exhausts me. Like I said, I can do a lot.
Right.
And running on the treadmill, getting my 45-minute runs in, lifting, I'm exhausted after that. Yeah. And it's in a beautiful way. It's like I finally like surrender. Like you surrender to the moment, you surrender to the breath, the literal breath. You realize you rarely breathe deep unless you're working out, which is awful. We should be breathing deep all the time.
Right.
I'm really touching my toes or feeling my body until I'm working out. Just like feeling, it's like that mindfulness book, like wherever you go, there you are. I'm not a present person, which is one of my downfalls. But so working out does that. It surrenders me. Another thing is, though, I am disciplined and good about, like setting up my conditions for success, which is a lot of sacrifice. And some people, I feel like kind of think that the way I've succeeded has just been by luck instead of attributing it to like hard decisions that I've made. So it's like, I'm like, when I have friends like, man, I'm stressed with this or I have that. And sometimes I want to be like, you chose that though. Like people don't take into account, like I've had options to be with partners for years and years, but I knew I've seen 30-year-old Talia right now, what I'm doing.
Right.
I knew I could want that. Because there's many options that aren't bad or good. It's like, is this good? This is good. Or what do I really want?
Fulfilling.
So I've sacrificed the idea of I'm 30 and me and my partner, we take vacations and we have our home and we do this. And this is not shaming any of that because that's everyone's journey. But so I've done things like, I'm going to be someone who's my main intent is not romance or building a family right now.
Right.
Number one, because I don't derive love from just romantic love. I believe in love from all sources of great friends, family members, strangers, coworkers, self-love. Like, number one, no one can love me better than me. Whoever I end up with for the rest of my life, if I do, will never love me as much as I love me. And that's how it should be, because you can't derive anything out of one person or any external source. So those are the kind of conditions that help me live a whole life. I don't have a lot of stresses that some of my peers have. I don't have stresses of finances, of paying for a partner, a child, even a pet. Like everything that I make only has to go back to me. And everything else I do is a choice, whether donation or helping family and friends.
Right.
And those are the things. Like, I cut out distractions. I don't rely on substances. I don't party, I don't like to be around a lot of energy I don't know, so I don't like being in certain spaces of, just people hanging out for the sake of hanging out. I'd rather invest that back in myself. So that's what I do to kind of cultivate a healthy life.
I think you touched on a lot of powerful things. For one, I want to point out the fact that earlier you mentioned you're not very good at saying no to things, and this is actually an example of you being very good at saying no to things that you do draw boundaries in a very strong way. It might not have been so visible or it might not be in the areas that you're aiming to get better at, but you do a very good job at boundary setting, right? You just said yourself, like, I don't like being around energy that I'm not familiar with. Right, that's something a lot of people have a hard time with, because it's like, hey, yo, Aunt, come to this. And instead of me being the first question, be like, who all gonna be there?
Who's all gonna be there? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very cultural question.
Yes.
As Jalen Rowe coined the term, it's cultural.
It's very cultural.
When people of a certain melanin say, who all gonna be there? They're trying to take account of, is that where I need to be?
Yes, exactly. So
it's not a head count. It's a energy, personality. That person better not be there count.
Yeah, straight up. So that's an area I do want to, tip my hat to you for that. Like, that's a good place that you have developed a healthy space to be able to say no to and things like that. Secondly, I want to point out that although you said you're not very good at meditating, you did well last year, then you kind of dropped off. Mm-hmm. A lot of people say, and I agree with this, that working out is meditative. Mm-hmm. And for someone as busy, as hardworking as you are, with such a high capacity and to overload your day and overload your things, I would say that's probably the best form of meditation, because I know how it goes when you are working and you're nonstop. You can go nonstop. You can go nonstop. But if you stopped and you're like, I love to meditate and sit down and sit still, which I do. I try to do it daily, right? Mm-hmm. Which I love to do. But if I did that while I'm, in the middle or the afternoon of my day when a lot of people fall off, then if I sat down and sat still, I fall asleep. Sitting up, I'll fall asleep.
Right.
That's it. It's a wrap.
That's true. That's a good point.
If I work out instead, then there's, I got a second wind. I can push harder. The moment I stop, if it's a busy day, then it's going to be really, really tough. So I can see where that being the meditation that keeps you going.
Yeah. I also pray all day. And, I know people are always just like, when you hear about anything spiritual, but like, that can be whatever that is for you. Like, we have to get over
whoever, that. For real. Like pray to whoever, whatever.
Like, we have to get over anyone saying things that are triggers, like healthy triggers. I know, because we've all experienced some traumatic things. I'm just like, I don't want to talk about that. And that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But when I say prayer, yes, for me, that is to a higher source. But for some people, prayer can just be words that haven't been said yet.
Yeah.
Like it can be just words that have not been said yet. A prayer to future self. It could be affirmations. It could be list of gratitude. You can call it whatever you want. So for me, I'm constantly in conversation with source, and while I'm driving. There is the old school black in me where literally just get in the car and you're like, oh, thank you, Lord. Like, like just because getting from point A to point B, you did not think you were going to leave your bed that day. And that also fuels me. Is I take gratitude for everything, right? Like we've all lost, and I've lost one of my best friends, in 2018, the age of 26, right? A beautiful soul, Stanford grad, and just her name was Lyric McHenry, and an amazing, life-giving person. And even before then, I was also a grateful person. But I mean it when I say thank you. Or I know people who've dealt with mental health issues and do not want to be here, who have tried to not be here and harm themselves. And love and empathy and gratitude for anyone to experience that, because it's a very normal thing. We don't have to make it taboo. Just life is hard for a lot of people. People who wake up who know they don't have food in their refrigerator. Yeah. What is the excitement of getting up to go to despair? To work at a job you hate, or you may be abused at verbally, to be in a family where you're not seen, to be in a partnership where you are unheard. Like, there's a lot of reasons people don't have excitement to wake up.
Right.
So every day I wake up and I was able, as Black people say, by the grace of God, make it from my pillow to just the car. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you gotta celebrate that task. Like, hey, I'm not even at work yet, but I'm in the car.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I didn't finish this run, but I got my butt to the gym. So whatever I do today is already a win. If I step on this treadmill, press, 6 or 7, and I run for 3 minutes and I say, I'm fine, that did it, you better celebrate yourself. Yes. Because just the attempt, the audacity to believe in yourself and to say that I can and that you tried one more time is a level of honesty and vulnerability and just like care for yourself that is admirable, that I want all of us to have, and to encourage and give compassion to others to help them get there.
Right. Yeah, sometimes you just like, hey, it wasn't looking good to just get up out this bed today. My thumb was ready to hit send to call out. Like you had it pulled up, ready to go. And you make it to your car. You're like, damn, okay. And you start to catch a flow. You're like, oh, look at me go. Like, and there are some days where you cancel everything, and you're like, you know what? I took a good shower today and wore my robe. Like, and that's because we're not celebrating just leaving to leave. I'm like, whatever it is that got you through, you know, or you just made it through the day that was awful yesterday. But yesterday you didn't pass that test, right? Yesterday you threw in the towel. You said, I'm not trying. Not today. But
the next day you say, okay, I allowed myself that. I give that person grace. You deserve that. You deserve to break and to collapse in yourself. Like we're gonna break. We're going to bend. The center cannot hold. Things fall apart. Chinua Achebe said that, and whenever you're able to just like get something out of something, celebrate that,
Yes. Yeah. I love this. This is also an aspect of your character that I genuinely love, is that you are so full of gratitude. And although I know you mentioned you're not really into like the self-help books and all that stuff, that's one of the largest genres in my library, right? Is personal development, self-help, and some commonalities there. And you said it earlier when you were talking about, get over this spirituality trigger and all that stuff. But you said it earlier when you were like, whatever it is, an affirmation. If you are triggered by somebody bringing up religion or somebody bringing up a higher power or anything like that, whether your higher power is science, right? If you're hard science, you're atheist, whatever, or if it's Jesus or Allah, whoever, whatever, right? If you have something to look forward to, that's the power, right? If you have something to build and speak, and it doesn't have to be prayer. Don't call it prayer if that's a trigger for you, whatever. But it's affirmations, right? That's what prayer is you're speaking affirmations and gratitude.
It's just a conversation with it's a conversation to whatever. It could be a conversation to the future job you're going to have, like people who manifest. I'm making fun of you got to remember, like, I'm also in LA, which is a very woo-woo place. So this kind of stuff for me is like, we commodified it. That's why I was always so careful of how I even talked about the fund, because I don't want to be known for helping people. Like you should do that. as you breathe. I don't want to be known for. And then we take a deep, I'm not commodifying breathing or affirming. That is just what we do. So that's why I kind of, just make fun of. That's just the cynic in me too. And there's people who've had ill intents toward that. And I see other people have triggers. So yeah, it's just, it's conversing with the thing that you see. Sometimes you're just, saying your dream out loud, saying your pain out loud. Like I said, I'll be looking crazy all the time because I'll be talking full-on sentences in the car, but it keeps me sane. I don't want to keep things bottled up. Like there's people, who I have compassion for, but you can tell have never said certain things.
Right. Yeah.
Never said it.
Give yourself permission to be weird. And if you won't give it to yourself, we're giving you permission right now. Be weird. Speak to yourself. Speak to another power. Speak to whatever you got to that gets you
because the thing is, it's going to come out.
Yeah.
And it's going to come out in a very harmful, dangerous way.
Yeah. Or impulsive.
And even then, the impulsive has to go out somewhere. Like, if a kid needs to write on their wall before they do something silly and harm someone else, let them write on that wall. Let them, like we have to mitigate harm.
Get the outlets going for sure.
We got to. There's so many better ways of, like, all of us. Like, think how many times, you get into an argument with a friend or someone you're in a relationship with over, like, the dishes or a sponge, and you realize it's not about the sponge. Yeah. You bring up, it's because at dinner 4 weeks ago with my friends, the way you did this, it's like, I just want to know if you wanted an orange slice, because it's not about that. Right. And that's what I was saying back to the people I respect. You are also someone like that who says it how it is, even if it may sting a little bit. And like my cousin or my friend Ash, the same thing, where it's like, just say it. You got to say it. If you are having an issue, you have to say it then, because people can't read your minds, No.
And this is actually one of the episodes that I had with Jeanette. We talked about kind of our relationship mission statement and everything on here. And one of the foundational principles for us is that the truth, no matter how painful at first and how damaging it may feel to your ego, is always the best long-term strategy. Mm-hmm. And it is like that. Sometimes you like, she says shit to me that I'm like, damn, I'm like, my ego's like, oh, it's battle time. Like, but in the end, it's like, what would you rather have? Would you rather have somebody lie to you and you feel good right now, and then later on, boom, bombshell, right? So there's all that. I know we're winding down on time, but I did want to touch.
We're good.
Okay, dope. I want to touch on, and I want to kind of like magnifying glass over this, because I feel like you are a person that not only are you an incredible friend, I think you're a fantastic friend, and you embody what it means to be a good friend because of, simply put, just the effort you put in. You are someone that puts in a lot of effort to be a good friend, and that's it's felt.
Thank you. I agree.
And I also see that you happen to be surrounded by a lot of people who you talk about your friends to me that I've never met all the time. Like, there's so many names that you can bring up, and I'm like, oh, that's, okay.
Yeah, you feel like, they're like, oh yeah, how's that such and such going? Hey, you met them a day in your life, but they still together.
Right. So what is it that you do, or how do you think of building your circle of people? I mean, you talked earlier, you don't like new energies, right?
Yeah.
Or you're at least wary of them. So the energies you do have that folks are fortunate enough to be in your life and have you, how do you mitigate that? How do you choose that? How do you select it? What's the breakdown for you, and where's the value? Right.
And it's not that I don't like new energy. I have to discern it. And there's some people who are so internally off balance that it seeps into me. And I can't have that. Like, people are battling a lot of stuff that they're not being honest about. And I don't do well with unbalanced energy, because I feel like you're lying. Yeah. You're lying to yourself first, which is the worst. Like, forget me. Yeah. But if I'm around, like, it's like safety. Like, my mom was, she's old school. So always been like, I'm going to car with this or like that. So I'm never going to feel safe with someone who I feel doesn't care about their own life. And that's a lot of energy I feel when I'm out, where it's like, you are lying to yourself. You're unsafe with self. Mm-hmm. You're harmful to self. So there's no way I would be dumb and let myself be next to you. So that's what it's for energy. You got to be like, I don't feel good about this. My mom is big, teach me discernment, Yeah. So it's very organic. Like, for me, I don't have a list of qualities. I have friends on the spectrum of everything, people who would call themselves amazing people, who people call themselves awful people. I'd be like, it's about honesty. So I realized the friends that I have are really honest and vulnerable. And they don't grandstand. They're not trying to keep up with the Joneses and be this and be that. They just exist.
Right.
And are usually very painfully honest about their wounds. Like, I tend to draw to people who carry a lot and will tell you they're carrying a lot and will tell you, I'm trying to survive and be better. Yeah. Once you show me that kind of vulnerability and honesty, I can trust you. Because I can work with that. It's like, I can work with honesty. You know, if you tell me off top, hey, Talia, like, I want to be your friend, but this is what I have. So I get if you don't want to hang with me. Yo, come here. Because the fact that you respected and loved me enough to disclose things about yourself, I feel honored when I get to hold those things about people. So it's usually organic. Like, I like to talk, to speak to people. I'm going to look you in your eyes. And yeah, some of it's just like, that's one of the gifts that I have. We all have gifts. I can read people pretty well, you know? So if I feel like just safe around you and also curious, I do like people who have a lot of layers, you know, it's probably like, you know, attracting kind of how you are. I feel like I'm a very layered person and a person who, you know, would love to be able to share those layers with people you feel comfortable with. So I want to be that for someone else. It's like I'm building a tribe of people who always felt just like a little different. I've always felt off, you know, I've always just been like different from people. Like just like the person I am, the skin I'm in, the thoughts that I have. Yeah. So you want to build a tribe of that. Mainly for me, I always want to be better. So I always want people who like inspire me. I'm like, I want that quality that you have, you know, and I want to learn from you and I want to share this with you. So that's really how it is. Like, it doesn't matter if you know, cut wood for a living or if you direct movies. Like, I care about the honesty of your spirit and soul and also your humanity. I don't really rock with people who don't care about the world and other people. Like, that's just not my ministry. Yeah. You can't be just on the mission for self. You know, all of my closest friends are very giving people who would like, if they have $100 in their account, but I need $100, they won't tell me and will give me their last $100.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful distinction. It's something that it's interesting hearing you talk about it, because for me, truth, honesty, that's a absolute must. There's no wavering for me in my friendships or anything like that at all. And you have to, along with that, you have to be loving and understanding, right? You have to, I think that's something that I've seen exhibited in both of us, because I remember sitting on Sprout and at Berkeley, we'd be sitting there chopping it up, me, you, and Laisha, and the most random encounters with people. Random. Like, I mean, this is Berkeley, right? So you got
the kid with a purple mullet, you know, riding an ostrich. Like, hey, yo, what are you guys doing today? And we're just like, hey, welcome to the tribe. How are you, fellow weirdo lost soul?
Straight up, like, welcome. You fit right in, right? And there's this essence of the ability for us to genuinely be able to understand. That doesn't mean agree, right? We don't necessarily agree with your stuff, your stance, your choices or anything. Yeah. But if you're honest and we can understand it, which in most cases you can, right? If people people keep it real, you can kind of go, that makes sense. I see where you would go with that.
And I'm also, that's a competitive to me too. I like, just let me earn your, let me get your respect. Like, if you, because I went to a school that, like, Marlboro School for girls down here in LA, that the beauty of it encouraged women like ridiculous. So they're the kind of place where they would tell you in like your opening meeting, like, we're the kind of place, if your daughter says, hey, I want to be phenomenal, they'll say, we're going to teach you how to be phenomenal. I had a mom who did the same thing. She'd always say, it's not enough to just, you know, you got to be exceptional. Like, period. Like, I didn't walk into my house thinking anything less.
Yeah.
And within that, people like that foster every one of your amazing size of a mustard seed dreams, you know? Yeah. So that's the beauty of life. I don't ever want to get jaded. I'm a very childlike, where I want to see miracles happen. I want to see things that challenge my beliefs.
Yeah.
my point is, so I love seeing people who tell me, Talia, I'm going to tell you why I'm going to turn the sky purple one day. And because their diligence, their passion, their research, their commitment, whether I think it's going to happen or not, I'm like, yo, the way you believe though, I need that.
Yeah.
I need that because you hear from successful people all the time that they usually got it because they believed when no one else did.
Yes.
They believed when someone said, when Michael Jackson was 7, being like, I'm going to be the best singer of all time in Gary, Indiana. And you're like, yeah, you're tripping. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be delusional about life, or what's the point of living? And that's like, for me, it's what the definition of faith is. Faith is believing in that which you can't see. You know, that's the biblical definition of it. Right. And meaning, if you can see it, that's not faith. It's obtainable. Faith is, what's the thing that you cannot see that disagrees with your current circumstance? For some people, that's generational poverty. That's a child at 5 years old, you know, being like, I grew up on a dirt road with no running water, and one day I'm going to change the trajectory of my family and create generational wealth.
Yes.
That was a seed planted. Like we always forget when we talk about miracles not happening. It had to happen. Yeah. It had to happen for some person. When doctors say, I'm not a person of faith, but I cannot tell you how that child survived this accident. I cannot tell you. Right. And you have to leave space for the things that nature, even science tells you that. Like, I am a science believer, you know? Yeah. I'm a science person. Science will tell you during the hypothesis and the testing space, you have to leave space for things you didn't account for. Right. That you might try to reverse engineer one day, but you can't. They are working on things right now they cannot account for. They cannot tell you all the time the history of the redwoods. They can't tell you the majesty of nature all the time. And they'll tell you that while they love it and they're discovering. And that's what I love about people who are sell out to those dreams and being like, I'm going to figure out by hook or crook. And if I spend my 95 years on earth figuring it out and don't get it, but I loved every single day in that pursuit, that's a better life than someone who just gave up and never tried and just died bitter and without being scared or trying. Like, you got to live scared. You got to live, I don't know. You got to live that like surprise. It's like Christmas Day. Like, Christmas is fun because you don't know. If you know everything, it's not fun. Right. Right. I love it. That what you don't know and say, I'm going to figure it out, or I'm going to have fun learning more than I did yesterday. Right. And this is your pursuit right now in writing. Oh my God. I mean, it's my pursuit it's my pursuit in just what I can do. I don't even know all that I can accomplish. Right. Like, the writing is easy. I see that. I know I'm a good storyteller. I know I'm a good writer. One thing I need to do now is just work on my craft, learn more rules and tools, and, you know, perfect things until it's like, I'm ready. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to reach. Like, and that's what excites me. In every single quarter of my life, season of my life, something changes. I couldn't tell you I was going to be here 2 seasons ago. And I love that. Right. It's going to be something else. I don't care the scope or size. It could be more intimate. It could be bigger, whatever. But something's going to surprise me, being like, I cannot believe that I am tackling this right now. You know? Right. Right. I love it. I'm here for it. I know mad people are rooting for you. And man, I'm so thankful. It's so dope. Yeah. And before we depart here, is there anything else that you want to, or anything you want a little gem you want to drop? I mean, you've already dropped a whole trail of gems up to a mountain peak. But is there anything else that you want to share or speak on for the people before we bid our adieus here? No, just have some compassion for people. You know what I'm saying? Have compassion for yourself, and don't be pressured to just go with the flow. Going with the flow is what's gotten most countries in our history of the world in trouble. You know, going with the flow is, you sing atrocities and you're like, someone else will deal with it. Going with the flow is you sing a child in need and you not inquiring, does that kid need a jack? Does that kid need books? Like, going with the flow is kind of like not participating in your own life a bit. Yeah. It's actually, in sociology, or psychology, the bystander effect. Yeah, exactly. Like, just, get in the driver's seat of your life and like, don't get so jaded where you think you can't change someone's life. You can literally change someone's life. Yeah. If you see a teenager walking in the rain and you gave them a ride and that was their like interview for college admission and that person becomes a famous whatever, you did that.
Yeah.
You changed someone's life. You can change someone's life by a hint of kindness, just thinking about them, making a call for them. Yeah, just don't just float your way through life. Have some intentionality and like just really be compassionate about how you can affect the world and people next to you. Don't be rude. Like, don't be selfish. It's not just you and your family, you know? And we saw that. It was like pandemic. I don't care if no one else has toilet paper as long as me and my family do. And it's like, that's why like in wars, people don't survive.
Yeah.
Because we hoard and we cut off people. And we all know since the beginning of time is cooperative structures that keep everyone alive.
Yes. I love it. And honestly, that was one of the most baffling things to me is like, y'all think the world's coming to an end and y'all are fighting over toilet paper.
Silly.
Let's assume, the belief is that the world is about to end.
Yeah.
Of all things you're going out there for. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't call it.
No more hand sanitizer, but it was a whole bunch of soap.
Yeah.
Just wash your hands.
Like, come on. All right.
We're all backwards. It's all good.
Yes, it is. Well, Talia Caldwell, screenwriter, former pro athlete, and many more things. Thanks for the wisdom you shared, the joy.
And if you want to educate yourself further, I'm pro me agenda, aka pro Black woman agenda. Look up some amazing Black female writers. The reason why I say that, because just the history of life, Black women have had to always think about the collective, same with Native culture, like really collective. And I think those are good ways to see how people can challenge the way we think about the collective instead of just self. So like just research really good Black writers, female writers, Toni Morrison, Nikki Giovanni, challenge yourself.
What would be the number one book that you would say, or piece that you would say, hey, just take this and just crack it open. Just get started there.
Oh man, that's so hard. That's really hard.
Well, what's one that you're like, okay, anybody can kind of vibe with this? Like, it's not so deeply entrenched in Black culture, or so deeply entrenched in the culture of Black women specifically, but it's something that's like, okay, even if you don't identify, you could still definitely vibe with this.
Just a human story. I mean, I think Nikki Giovanni, she has poetry involved too, because all that self-reflection too. Dope. Yeah, anything Nikki Giovanni. Poetry is always great.
Agreed. Where can everybody, if you want to be bombarded?
Just type in Talia Caldwell. You'll find me. Just type in my name, Talia, last name Caldwell. Like the bank, but an A instead of the O. Caldwell. All my handles will pop up there.
Bam. All right. I love it. Thank you again so much for joining.
Got it.
I know. Finally. Woo. Once again, that was Talia Caldwell. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and friendship over all the years. That's wonderful to have you in my life and now everyone else's lives who are listening here. You can find Talia quite literally by hopping on Google and typing in her name, Talia Caldwell. That's Talia space Caldwell. And if you're wondering why these last few episodes have sounded way better than previous ones, that is thanks to the expert work of our new editor, Phil. So if your soul is feeling tingly and you aren't against supporting this podcast, then share an episode with a friend, someone you think would appreciate it. Leave your feedback or rate the show. Or you can go to anthonyjthomas.com/podcast and donate to the ATP Coffee Fund. Your support encourages me to keep going, and it helps cover the resources like our new friend Phil. That's it for now. So until next time, make sure you note your appreciations from the day. Live powerfully. Much love. Peace.